Hey y'all, it's Katie. Welcome back to From My Vanity and welcome to a new series that I'm starting here on my YouTube channel. So what I'm going to be doing from now on is instead of reviewing the eyeshadow palettes that I try throughout the month in my monthly makeup review series, I'm going to be taking them out of the monthly makeup review series and putting them in this video and giving them their own video just to review the eyeshadow palettes that I tried from the past month. Now my makeup monthly review series is not going anywhere. I'm still going to be doing them, but I'm just going to be taking out the palettes and giving them their own video because I feel like my makeup monthly review series gets very long and just drawn out, and there's just so many products I'm trying to cover and I'm trying to give well-rounded reviews that I feel like I tend to cut corners here and there and just try to be a little too short and to the point, and I feel like I miss out on giving well thought out and well-rounded reviews, which I feel like can be a little unfair to the product if I lean too heavy trying to point out the cons and I don't have time enough to point out the pros. It can leave you guys with a warped view. So this is something I've been trying to figure out how to solve without making my monthly makeup review series an hour long, and I think this is going to be it. I haven't exactly figured out what I'm going to call it. At the time I'm filming this, the only thing I've been able to come up with is Palette Palooza. If you have a better idea for this series, definitely leave it down in the comments. I would love to have some opinions and some help on this. I'm not very creative when it comes to thinking of catchy titles or catchy names for my series, so I'd love to hear what you guys think. But yeah, it's basically just going to be reviewing a bunch of palettes that I've tried over the course of the last month and sharing with you guys my in-depth thoughts and reviews on it, and I hope I'll be able to give you more well-rounded and thought-out opinions, so that'll help you as a consumer, as someone who's trying to decide if you should buy it. I hope it'll help you make more informed decisions. So yeah, with that little intro, let's just get right into my first Palette Palooza. Okay, so I have 5 palettes to talk about. One is a little quad, so we'll start with the quad. But I tried the LA Girls i-Luxe Mesmerizing Palette, and this is in Eternalized. Now, I will say that I think the matte formula in here is absolutely beautiful. Like, they are very soft. They are, because of the color tone of this palette, very subdued, but they're still nicely pigmented. The shimmer is definitely more, I would say, of a satin finish. They blend onto your eyes very effortlessly, and I felt like they do build nicely. Overall, I was very impressed with this little trio. Will I get a lot of use out of this? Maybe not, but who knows? I will keep it because I do enjoy the quality, and who knows, maybe I'll swing back to being all into the neutrals again. Right now I'm very much enjoying my color life, but it is a very nice palette and I do think the quality is there. And in saying that, I realize that not everyone is this into color, and a lot of the people who watch me aren't this into color. They are definitely more neutral, and I think this is a quad that if you did pick this up, you would be very happy with the looks that you got. Just keep in mind that they're not going to be extremely deep or like smoked out. It definitely gives you more of a soft eye look that you can deepen up to some extent if you want a little bit more depth in the outer corner, but overall just a soft, everyday, very quick and easy type of eyeshadow quad, and I do highly recommend. Next, let's talk about the Rimmel Magnif'eyes Jewel Rock Edition. This really caught my eyes. I'm sure it won't come as a surprise to you, but for this end here, and I was really happy with the looks that I created using that end of the spectrum. Now, I did give a really glowing review on the Spice edition to this. It was kind of like the dupe to the Urban Decay Naked Heat, that palette. I forget exactly the name, but I think it was a Spice edition. But I thought the formula in that palette was very nice. The shimmers were very nice. The mattes blended out beautifully and were nicely pigmented. So that's kind of what I was expecting with this. I would say the quality of this is just a step lower than that. The reason being that there are a couple shimmer shades that I definitely feel like are a lot thicker and like chunkier. I don't think you'll be able to see it, but it's just a bit chunkier, and because of that it can just be a little bit trickier to use on the eyes. And then there were a couple shades, like this one particularly, I remember just being a lot drier when I tried to use it, but I mean they still create really pretty eye looks. Like, that's a gorgeous color. I wasn't mad at the looks that I got. I just noticed with these shimmers specifically that there were a couple I kind of had to work at a little bit harder to get them to create the eye looks that I wanted. Another thing is that there aren't a whole lot of mattes in this palette, which is kind of a bummer for it to be so colorful with all these shades. The only mattes are this shade. Let me make sure you're in frame. This shade, and this shade. Everything else is shimmer. So while that isn't a huge downfall, because for me, I don't mind using shimmer on my outer corner, but for me, mattes are definitely the only thing I want to use in my crease just because I feel like it blends so much easier. So it's a bit of a constraint there because they're just such polarizing mattes. So I found myself tending to just use that green to deepen up any look in here if I didn't want a shimmery outer corner. So that's just some food for thought. But overall, I did really like the looks I got for it. And considering how affordable it is, I do think it is worth the price because while the shimmers, like I said, have their faults, their hits and misses, they are usable. It's not like they're not usable. It just takes a little bit more work. Let me know if you guys like to see me swatch all these palettes in these palette paloozas. Since I am breaking it up, I would have more time to be able to include that as an overlay in these videos. I'll go ahead and do it for this video. Let me know what you guys think, if I should keep that, because it's definitely something that'll take more time for me, but I would be more than happy to do it if that helps you guys. But overall, I would title this as a really nice palette. It isn't anything that knocked my socks off in the terms of quality, but I do think you can get really creative looks, really pretty looks, and considering how affordable it is, I do think that this is a really nice palette if you wanted to try some color but you didn't really want to invest in something that's like $20, $30, $40. This would be a nice one to grab, see how much you tend to use them. So I know I'm kind of in the middle on this. It didn't blow my socks off, but I did really enjoy the looks, and I really, really did like the looks that I created with this lower half just because they are totally my tones, and I thought that they performed really well. They lasted very nicely on my eyes, and I used them with a couple different eyeshadow primers just to test it out, and I didn't notice a difference with the wear time at all. So overall, very impressed that these last so nicely on my eyes. But anyway, that kind of wraps up and sums up my thoughts on the Magnif'ey Eyes Jewel Rocks palette. Next, I tried out the Mavie Take Me to Tokyo palette. This palette is so much fun. If you can't guess, anytime you reach for this palette, you're going to get a really fun and creative look. I still think you can go safe and simple with this, like only choosing, you know, these two colors to pair together, or, you know, these two colors or something like that. You can get a more simple look, but if you want to go bold and colorful, like use 3-4 colors of this and bam, you've got it. As you can see from all the looks that I did, I felt like they were a lot of fun. There were 1 or 2 days I tried to go as simple as I could, and these were the looks that I came out with. But overall, I was really impressed with this. This shade right here kind of feels like it's not necessary, but I did use it as a matte brow bone highlight, which I always like to do. I'm not someone who likes to stick shimmer there, and I always like to put some type of skin tone color there. So that's where this came in, and it worked just fine. But depending on your skin tone, that will or won't work for you. But for me, it works just fine, and I did enjoy it for that. This palette has 2 purples. I know in my last review, which one was it? Not the Santorini, I think it was the Take Me to Hong Kong palette. I was saying how each of the palettes always has 2 shades that are very similar, and this one has the purples, but I was very happy to see when I was testing this out that the purples are very different. So thank you, Mavie. I do like the difference in there. As you can see, they're very different types of purples. All the colors I thought behaved really nicely. You do have to be careful because all the colors are so drastically different. When you try to take a blue and blend it into, you know, a red or what have you, it's going to take a little bit of finessing. You can't just pop it in there and expect it to blend out effortlessly. I did a look with the blue and green one day, and I thought it was absolutely stunning, and it didn't really take that much work of blending to get it to, you know, be blended out and look really seamless. So I was very happy with that. The formula of the mattes are very soft, very creamy. I didn't have any kind of skipping or just a difficulty blending up, which I was very happy with. So overall, very happy with this. I did want to point out that this shade, I honestly didn't understand when I first pulled this palette. I didn't understand why this was in the palette. I thought this was just a really odd color to put with all these fun colors because it just looked like a weird brown. But when you put it on your eyes, and you'll have already seen a look, and I had this all over my eyelid, it's like orange, and that totally shocked me. Like, I don't even know if you can kind of see, I don't know, it almost here it looks like a weird brown, but on your eyes, like when I put it on my eyes, I think I paired it with the red. I know I paired it with the red or the pink. I think it was the red. But anyway, when I put it on, I was like, wow, that is a vibrant orange, because it just struck me because I was doing my eyes one morning and I knew I was going to go out and hang out with friends, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be that crazy today. Let me just take this, you know, more neutral color and put it with like the deeper red and call it a day. And it was just a poppin' orange. Totally surprised me. Very impressed with that shadow. This green too, I mean, obviously you guys know my love for greens, and this shade did not disappoint. This is a very soft shadow, but it still packs such a punch very easily. If you pack it on with a brush or with your finger, it doesn't matter. It still shows up really nicely and stays really well. If you're someone who has hooded eyelids, I would say that it'd probably be best to use these with some kind of glitter primer underneath to keep them from transferring into your crease. But that really is the only kind of con with these shimmers. They're very pigmented, they're very soft, they're very easy to use. And yeah, I couldn't believe how much Can I hold it the right way? I couldn't believe how much fun I had creating i-Luxe with this palette. I was very pleased with the formula. And yeah, I'm kind of sad that I've finally come to the end of my Mavie palettes. When they first launched, I bought 3 because they were the 3 that stood out to me the most. And this is the last one that I have tried and reviewed. So yeah, if you missed either of my other 2, I've reviewed the Take Me to Santorini and the Take Me to Hong Kong. I have thoughts, pros and cons for each of the palettes, but overall, I do recommend this brand and I do think they have a really good formula. Overall though, I really did enjoy this palette. Okay, so next let's talk about the Dose of Colors Desi and Katy Friendcation palette. When this first launched, I thought it was very pretty, but I was like, nope, I'm not gonna get it. Like, I don't need it. It's a bunch of neutral eyeshadows with a couple pops of pretty shadows to put on the lid. I don't need it. The one thing when it first launched that I was honestly intrigued about was because this palette had these very metallic formulas, and people were saying that it's the same type of formula that is in their Block or Dose of Colors Block Party metallic shadows. And so that intrigued me because those shadows I was definitely intrigued about, but I just didn't want to spend like, what, 20 something bucks on one shadow. So that was the only pull that I had for this palette. But still, I was like, you don't need it. I think it's $55. It's expensive for a neutral palette. But then it went on sale, and I bought it. So I ended up buying it, so I did give it a try. I have been using it this past month, and I think the mattes are absolutely gorgeous. I had no problems blending these. They blend out so beautifully. They last so well. They are so very pigmented. I need to clean my hands because I'm running out of clean fingers, but it's these 2 right here. But yeah, they're just very pigmented. They're very soft. They're very blendable. I have absolutely no complaints on the mattes in this palette. The issue I have is with the metallic formula, or whatever this formula is. It is absolutely stunning and looks absolutely gorgeous in pictures and in video, but wearing it in real life, I don't like it. If you're someone who likes a very grungy type of eye look, like almost a messy grungy, I think you will like this palette, but because of that, that's why I didn't like this palette. As you can see today, I like a lot of structure in a way with my eye looks. I like being able to easily define where the mattes are and then where the shimmer cuts into them. I like those clean lines to some extent. I love half cut creases. If I don't actually do it with concealer, I feel like I tend to just do it with the eyeshadow itself. I like that look. So using this, it annoyed me so much because even if I put it on and when I started my makeup and I finished my eye look and it had a really good cut to it, I would do the rest of my face, and by the time I finished, all of these metallic formulas would transfer up onto my eyelid and it would just look like a more diffused and worn in. It looked like I had been wearing my makeup for 8-10 hours as opposed to 20 minutes. So after a time or 2 of that, of just trying concealers and whatnot underneath, I was like, okay, we need some glitter glue. So I put some glitter glue on it and it helped for like an hour. And then once again, Transfer City, almost like I had just taken my finger and just kind of messily applied it to my lid. Yes, that might be a pretty look to some people, and if that's your kind of look, then I think you would like this, but for me, that aggravated me because I spent so long at getting it to look really nice and beautiful, and then I leave my makeup table and I go back to the mirror and it looks just like a mushed up mess. So I actually went on my Instagram and was like, what do you guys use for keeping shimmers and metallic formulas from transferring all over your eyes? Because I'm having so much trouble with this. And All Things Pure 27, I think that's her YouTube username. I will leave her channel link down below, but she responded and said, try patting a little bit of glitter glue on top after you've put like glitter glue, put the shadow, put some more glitter glue on top to kind of seal it all in. And I was like, that's a good idea I've never thought of. So I did that. And I was very happy to see that it kept this formula in place for probably 3-4 hours. And then it started transferring again. And by the end of the night, it looked pretty worn in and there was like shimmer and glitter all over my eyes. So it disappointed me so much because I thought I figured out how to wear these and enjoy them. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. I think the mattes are gorgeous, but these shimmers, the metallic formula, why they are absolutely stunning, like there's no question about it, absolutely stunning on camera, absolutely gorgeous and reflective when you're looking at it on your arm, in pictures, what have you, very beautiful, but to actually wear it throughout the day, I just did not like or appreciate what it did on my eyes. I didn't like how it transferred everywhere, and for that reason, I just don't like it as much as I was hoping to, and I honestly don't foresee myself reaching for this palette often, and I'm probably at some point in the near future I'll end up decluttering it. Because while, like I said, the matte formula is stunning, I have a lot of neutral mattes already in my collection, and I don't think I'm going to be someone who wants to reach back in here to create an eye look for it to just kind of like diffuse everywhere. If that's your look, and I feel like that is Desi and Katy's look, because I was looking at a couple of the looks they did, and it was a very kind of messy, just glittery look that they did, and especially in like their promos when they were coming out with, I watched a couple, and they did a lot of close-up shots that were like fuzzy, you know, like out of focus, so you could see all the reflectiveness, and that is gorgeous. But I like clean lines, and this palette just didn't give it to me. So I know that's a bit of a bummer. I'm not docking it on the quality though. I hope you guys understand that, but it's just my preferences and what I like to see on my eyes. I couldn't get it to stop transferring all up into my crease. So last up, we're going to talk about what is on my eyes, and it is the Blush Tribe and Polina palette. This palette, I was so excited. I was so excited for Paulina to begin with. She is such a sweet YouTuber. I really enjoy her channel, and I was excited to see that she got to do a collab with Blush Tribe, and I was excited to see that 4 of these shadows were green. Thank you, Paulina. I love you. But anyway, I really enjoyed using this palette. I created so many different looks with this and had such a good time creating looks. The pigmentation on these shadows cannot be denied. They are absolutely stunning. Like, come on, so beautiful, so intense. This green, what is it called? Friends, that I have on my lid is such a unique color to my collection, and it performs so well. It is so very pigmented and bold. With help, like today I did a cut crease, so I have concealer underneath it, and it shows up really well. But even with just a prime lid, it shows up very nicely, blending it into my crease, what have you. It is absolutely gorgeous. The purples in here are also really nice. Overall, I was so impressed with this palette. Feeling it and then creating a couple looks on my eyes, I was very, very pleased. But I began to notice an issue with the longevity of these shadows on my lid. Something I noticed very quickly is that I would get a lot of wear away, not creasing, but it's just like the shadow would disappear, and it'd be specifically in like this area right here, not like in a line all in my crease, not all over my outer corner. It'd just be right here, this little section. I'll go ahead and put a picture here and like put in a little arrow to show you guys. Now, this picture was taken shortly after I did my makeup, like before I left my makeup table, and I felt like you could already start to see that spot where it just either wasn't sticking or wearing away already. And when I was doing my eye makeup, I made sure to try to put enough shadow so that there wouldn't be any kind of sheer spots to make the wear away worse. A couple other things I made sure to do is I used my best eyeshadow primer. I made sure to use a really good concealer base. I changed up the concealer base that I used to try to see if maybe the concealer base that I was using just wasn't jiving with this. I tried to make sure that I let my concealer base dry really well so it wasn't sticking in odd places. I tried so many different things, and I've come to the conclusion that there is something with the shimmery formula in here that when it meshes with the matte on my lid, that's where I get the weird patchy kind of wear away issue. Because I noticed like today in my look, there is no kind of wearing away issue. The other day I did this look with like a purple and it was like all matte. I had no issues with any kind of fading or wearing away. But anytime I would use all the mattes in like my outer corner and up on my crease, and I would pop one of these shimmers onto my lid, in this top area in my crease where the shimmer and the matte meet, it's something about them mixing and it just starts to fade away and disappear. And at the time of filming this, I have not been able to find a method to make them work. I don't know, something about maybe just my oily eyelids mixing with these types of shimmers right there in my crease, it doesn't mesh, it won't stay, and it just fades and it just gets worse, progressively worse throughout the day. Maybe I just have very oily eyelids, because I feel like a lot of my friends who like review the very colorful eyeshadows never mention having an issue with wearing away. Like I'm thinking of Angelica Nyquist, Amy Loves Makeup, Annette's Makeup Corner. Those ladies, I don't really ever hear them talking about issues with fading, but I couldn't get these shimmers to stay nice on my eyelids all day, and that really bummed me out, because if you're new to my channel, having an eye look the same from 9 a.m. in the morning to 10 p.m. at night is very important to me. And that is a really big stickler point that I have when I review a palette. If it can't stay, that really does dock it a lot in my eyes, because I want my eyeshadow to look nice all day, and that it's important to me. That means a lot. So keep that in mind if you're someone who has very dry eyelids, or if you have oily eyelids but you just don't care, you never wear your makeup 10-12 hours. Keep that in mind, because that's really the only con that I have when it comes to this palette, is that it doesn't stay on my eyelids. So if you don't have that problem, or if you don't care, this palette is a 10 in my recommendation, because I do think it was very pretty. With that said though, this was limited edition. I don't know if it's all sold out. Last I heard, like 2 weeks ago, they had 10 left, so I'm assuming by this point it's all out. Maybe there's 1 or 2 left, but if you want it, and if it's still available, get it now, because once it's gone, I'm pretty sure it's going to be gone for good. So yeah, all in all, if I had to rate this, I couldn't rate it very high because it won't stay on my eyes. And I'm so very sad at that. But like I said, the quality is nice, the blendability of the mattes is nice, and if I wanted to get an all matte look, I definitely know that I could reach for this palette, create a really bomb all matte look, and it would last perfectly all day. It's just something about these shimmers that I definitely probably will be steering clear of in the future. And with that said, I do want to note that I tried the Hasina 2 palette a couple, months ago, and I don't remember ever having a problem with these shadows on my eyes. But since I tried this and I had such an issue, I'm kind of like doubting myself and wondering if I missed something, because there is a good mix of metallics and mattes in here and colorful shades and all that. And I'm like, well, why didn't I see it on here? And I was trying to think back of when I tried this, and I do know my son was very, very sick at that time. So I don't know if maybe I missed it, and every time I wore like a look with all the metallics, I just missed how it was wearing. But I'm definitely going to reach back in here, at least like one of each of the looks, like do a purple, green, and blue look. I got a couple more days till the end of the month, and I'm gonna do some looks and see if I see any kind of weird patchiness issues, and if I do, I'll definitely be addressing it in a later video to let you guys know, because I feel honestly horrible if this does have the same issues that the Paulina palette did and I didn't tell you guys in my review. So we shall see, because I'm sitting here, docking Paulina's palette because it won't stay on my eyelids, and I'm pretty darn sure when I reviewed the Hasina 2, I gave it a glowing review and like called it a favorite from the month. So oh my gosh, I've had a lot of time to think about how I would present this review and how I would put this part in, but I'm just kind of at a loss for words, because I try to be so thorough with my reviews to make sure I'm giving the products a fair shot and giving you guys all the information, and I just feel really bad. I feel like I just dropped the ball on this palette. So stay tuned on an update from this palette. I will definitely let you guys know in some future video in some shape or form whether I had any trouble with that creasing or not, because I definitely want to come back to it and let you guys know. Now that I'm aware of it with this palette, I need to know if it is the same with that palette, just so you guys know if you're someone who has very oily eyelids like me. That way you'll be able to make an informed decision if you also don't like buying palettes that, fade off on your eyes. Because these palettes, that's another thing, aren't super affordable, at least in my book. They're a little bit more pricey. I want to say I spent like 30 something, and then with shipping it makes it a little bit more expensive than that. So they are a pretty good price. Sure, you get a lot of product, but if you're someone who's spending $30, $40 on a product and you have very oily eyelids and they're just going to disappear on your eyes, that's not going to be very worth it. But getting back to Paulina's palette, yeah, I was really bummed to see that I couldn't figure out a way to keep it on my eyes, or not even on my eyes, but just in this outer corner crease area. It must just be like the creasiest area of my eyelid. I don't know. If you have any tips for how you keep eyeshadow in those areas, definitely let me know. I tried concealer, I tried glitter glue, I tried buffing it out and not putting too much shadow there. I tried really packing the shadow on. Nothing seemed to work. So let me know your thoughts down below if you have any tips for me. I am all ears. But yeah, overall, this is a very split review, and I hope I was just able to accurately give you both sides of the stories, give you all the cons and give you all the pros so that you can make your own informed decision. But for me, it was kind of a letdown that I couldn't get it to stick to my eyes. Really quick before we move on, I meant to address this in the video, but obviously totally forgot. I wanted to address the similarities between the Paulina and the Hasina 2 palette. I had some people mention when I first got the Paulina palette that there looked like there were some shades that were similar to the Hasina 2 palette, and if I would show comparisons and just give my thoughts on that. So obviously it's the purples and the greens in these two palettes that are very similar, so I swatched all the greens out. On the left hand side of the screen is the Paulina palette, and on the right is the Hasina 2 palette. As you can see, there's pretty big differences between the darkest and the lightest shades, but the two middle greens of each palette are pretty close, so I swatched them once again, kind of built them up a little bit more so you guys can see there is a slight difference, but overall those greens are pretty darn similar, pretty darn interchangeable. And then moving on to the purples, as you can see from the matte purples, there's definitely a big difference there. Even the deepest shimmer in the Paulina palette, I feel like is a big difference. It's a lot deeper and a very different type of a metallic. But the lighter shades in the two palettes are pretty similar, so I did swatch them again. And in the middle there is the shimmer from the Paulina palette, Thingling, and the two on the side is from the Hasina 2 palette. They're all a little bit different, but they are very similar. But anyway, I hope that's helpful. I wanted to just bring you guys the swatches and let you guys see. That way, since the Paulina palette isn't available anymore, maybe you want the Hasina too, and you can get similar looks. So anyway, I hope this was helpful for you guys. I just want to mention that real quick, and back to the video. All right, so there you have it. Those are the reviews for all the palettes that I tried this past month. Definitely let me know what you think about this new series. I'm so very eager and excited to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on this new series. I definitely think it's going to help me streamline my monthly makeup review series and make that not so long. Well, it'll probably still be long, but it won't make it so like cut up in trying to fit so many products into one review. I'll really be able to give you more well-rounded, thorough reviews both in this video and in that one, while kind of splitting them up and making it not like an hour-long video for you guys, because there's definitely been a couple monthly makeup reviews that's been like 40 minutes and you have no idea how long I worked to get it down to the 40-minute mark. So anyway, I really think this is going to be a good move for me and my channel. If you have any kind of constructive criticism, if you really don't like me breaking it up, if you think it's a great idea, if you think I should do a different type of name for this series, I am all ears. Down in the comments, let me know. I am so excited and eager to hear what you guys think. But yeah, I think that is going to be all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you stay tuned in a couple days to see my monthly makeup review for January with all the other products that I reviewed for this past month. But yeah, that's going to be it. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.